It is mock draft season. Todd McShay dropped his latest NFL mock draft, and it's got a different pick for the Falcons at number 8 than most other mocks. We're going to unpack that. Plus, we've got more Lamar Jackson rumors to hit on. Welcome into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here with plenty of ground to cover. But let's start with ESPN's Todd McShay's 2.0 NFL mock draft, because I don't know about you guys, I love mock drafts. I can't get enough of mock drafts. But I think we can all agree it can get a bit dry if all the mock drafts have the same team picking the same player. So some variety, even if it doesn't actually make a ton of sense, I still kind of like it. So here's how McShay's mock draft unfolded. He had the Colts move up and get Bryce Young at number 1, which then had the Bears take Jalen Carter at number 4. Stroud went 2nd. Anderson went 3rd. The Seahawks took Tyree Wilson. That's a player that several people have mocked the Falcons taking out of Texas Tech. Myles Murphy is another popular mock draft pick for Atlanta. He instead goes to Detroit. The Raiders take Will Levis. And then, with the Falcons at number 8, Terry Fontenot submits his postcard that says, Peter Skoronski, offensive tackle, Northwestern. So let's get to meet the Northwestern Wildcats left tackle and what could be the Falcons right tackle if a certain player does not re-sign. But first things first, I want to hear from you guys watching. If you had to grade this pick before we really even get into the X's and O's of it, at the surface level, what would you grade it? A, B, C, D, or F? Personally, I think this is a B pick. I don't think there's ever a bad time to pick an offensive lineman unless you're the Eagles and you're stacked, but even they might go O-line for the interior. But besides for that, I think it's a B kind of pick. Now, this is, like I said, the first mock draft we have seen that didn't involve Tyree Wilson or Myles Murphy. So a bit of a breath of fresh air, but let's get more information on the Northwestern Wildcats left tackle. Skoronski from Todd McShay saying, Atlanta has Kaleb, McGary, and Chuma Edoga headed to free agency, meaning the offensive tackle depth chart is barren. And for a team that relies so heavily on the run, the line has to be a focus. Questions about Skoronski's length should get answers at the combine in a few weeks, but man, this guy's quickness, balance, and awareness are outstanding. He takes great angles as a run blocker, which should open things up for Tyler Algier and whoever else is taking handoffs next season. Quarterback is worth a look too, but Desmond Ridder in the fold, I'm not sure the Falcons take the plunge on Florida's Anthony Richardson here. Good, because he sucks. With the top 3 signal callers off the board. If Atlanta doesn't stick with Ridder, it probably wouldn't turn to another developmental quarterback like Richardson. So, Peter Skoronski, if you're not really familiar with, is really good. Now, I don't blame you for maybe never hearing of him before. He played on, quite literally, the worst FBS team in football last year, Northwestern. They won 1 game. I don't think they won a single game in the United States. They won in Ireland the first week of the season, and then they lost out after that. But he was basically the only good thing about Northwestern. He was their anchor of a left tackle, so this would involve him moving to the right side of the offensive line, which is different, but that's not too unordinary for NFL drafts and players switching around on the line and whatnot. Now, Skoronski's PFF grades in 2022, 89.5 overall. In case you don't really know how PFF works, 89.5 for a college player is relatively unheard of. His pass blocking, 93. His run blocking, a tick below 82, and he gave up just 1 sack. The only concern that some have with Skoronski is the arm length, right? Can he meet his defensive ends? Can he meet the edge rushers? Or does he have to wait for them to come to him? And at that point, half of the battle is already lost. But once the combine rolls around and all these NFL teams get all these measurements and whatnot, we'll know more about him. I still think he's going to be a great left tackle or right tackle for whatever team takes him. But the biggest question I have is, what is the Falcons' biggest position of need? And in my opinion, it's not offensive tackle. That's why I gave the pick a B. Now, if the top 2 edge rushers that Atlanta is looking at, because Will Anderson definitely won't be there, But if Wilson and Murphy are their top two guys and they're gone, well, then you're in a bit of a jam for sure. But if Kaleb McGary walks in free agency and Atlanta doesn't put the franchise tag on him, then that's a big hole on this roster that needs to be filled, and Skoronski could do that. Now, we've got more analysis to get to in just a second, but I really want to share with you guys this crew neck polo, whatever, from Fanatics. It's on sale, and if that's not a good enough reason to get it, our producer, Nick Roloff, you guys know him well, he literally said, and I quote before we started watching this sweatshirt fucks. So if you want to be like Rolly and you want to roll up to whatever bar you go to wearing your favorite team's merch, get this sweatshirt, get this pullover. It's chatsports.com/Falcons Crew. That link's in the comments and the description of today's show. Now, McGary is a tough nut to crack because I don't have the perfect answer for you. In fact, I don't think anyone really has the perfect answer for the Atlanta Falcons right now on what to do with him. He has improved dramatically from year 3 to year 4. PFF graded him 62.8 overall a year ago. Now, just this past season, he jumps up to top 5 status at 86.6. But is that worthy of giving him a big contract, right? Spotrac right now projects, and they're usually a bit on the lower side for projections. I think it'll be even more than this. But 4 years, $70.9 million. That's an average of $17.7 million. He might get close to $20 million, and I don't know if Atlanta's ready to sink their teeth into this huge type of contract after just one good season, right? Now, they could place the franchise tag on him to kind of mull it over and think it over, which they very well may do, but that just buys them 1 year of time, and if he balls out next year, well, then you're left with really 3 options. 1, franchise tag him again. You can only do it twice in a row. 2, give him now a bigger contract because he's had 2 straight great seasons and you lost out on $5 or $6 million per year on average. Or you let him walk and you look like a big idiot. Now, the highest paid offensive tackles in football on average, they range from $23 million to $19 million. This is the top 5. I'm not sure if McGary wants to be top 5. Well, at least if he realistically thinks he is top 5 here. So if he is not going to settle for anything less than $20 million and Atlanta decides we don't think you're quite worth that after 1 season and he ends up walking in free agency because a team like the Bears, who have nearly $100 million to spend, take a chance on that because they've got money to burn, then I can see why Skoronski would make a ton of sense. But I do think this mock draft does do a good purpose and service of what's Atlanta's backup plan if Wilson and Murphy are gone, right? If they are sold on edge rusher and they think, well, we know we're not getting Anderson. He's going top 5. But we want one of those 2. But if those 2 get picked before the Falcons at 8, what's plan B? And I don't know what that is, but I'm very curious what Fontenot is thinking. But be honest with me when we talk about the right tackle position here. Will McGary stay with the Falcons? Let me know S for stay or L for leave. While you're commenting down below, make sure to subscribe too. Click on that sub button because we are your home for the entire NFL offseason. Whenever Falcons news, rumors, or buzz jumps out, breaks out, well, we've got you guys covered, which is why you have to stay subscribed. Now, next up, it is everyone's favorite subject, everyone's favorite segment. It is Lamar Jackson. I know I am sort of like what's the scene in Game of Thrones where he just takes the sword out and he's like, all right, the commenters are coming. Jon Snow. I even watched the show. But the Lamar Jackson hate is very real at this channel. I don't quite get it. If there's any people watching right now that like Lamar, please join me in the comment section because it's a bloodbath down there. But according to Bet Online, the Falcons are the favorite to land Lamar if he leaves the Ravens, okay? Here's what I'm talking about. The Falcons are at plus 300. The Jets are at plus 350. Raiders plus 450. And the Bucks are at plus 500. So if we sort of parlay this with the latest reports of Baltimore and Lamar being miles apart on a guaranteed contract in terms of the guaranteed money, it seems almost like it's got more than just a 5 or 10% chance of happening. Now, I know the stats aren't going to persuade those of you that don't want to trade for Lamar Jackson. I was talking with my friend Will. He is from Atlanta, lives in Decatur, and we were talking about why do some Falcons fans not want to trade for Lamar Jackson? It doesn't make sense to me. And he raised a really good point, and I think I want to echo it. Falcons fans don't know really what it's like to be in quarterback hell, to be in quarterback purgatory. You know what I mean? There wasn't really much of a drop-off between Vic and Ryan. You had Joey Harrington for a season, all right? You had 1 year of Mariota. I don't think Falcons fans truly understand what it could be like to enter year after year after year searching for the quarterback of the future. And if you like Desmond Ridder, that's cool. That's good. I don't know if I'm ready to call him the quarterback of the future. So if you can somehow skip over what could be a half decade of searching for another quarterback, and if you think I'm lying, look around the rest of the NFL and look how often quarterbacks change. You could just hit fast forward and jump to your next franchise guy and get Lamar Jackson. We've talked about potential Lamar Jackson trade packages, but what about a potential contract, which I think is holding up a lot of people watching? Now, Arthur Blank did say he doesn't want to sink too much money into one player. Okay. He also is really close to getting Deshaun Watson, so I can't really buy that 100%. Now, here's what Alex Lord said from Sports Talk ATL. Alex said, Lamar Jackson is reportedly seeking a deal in the neighborhood of Deshaun Watson's fully guaranteed $230 million contract. Jackson already declined a 6-year offer with $133 million fully guaranteed, which would be more than Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray's respective guarantees. ESPN's Chris Mortensen reported that Jackson would have earned over $290 million with an average annual value exceeding Wilson's $48.5 million, which he declined. That $133 guaranteed that Lamar shot down seems to be what's keeping these two sides apart. Because when we look at the highest paid quarterbacks per year, just an average, their total contract divided by the number of years, I don't think either side has an issue with making him number one, right? Giving him 51 or so million. It's the guaranteed money where they can't come to terms, right? Right now, Watson is at the top of the throne with $230 million guaranteed, and I'm guessing Lamar wants at least $200. I don't know if he is going to, refuse to budge from it being 100% guaranteed. We saw two big contracts be given out post Deshaun Watson's fully guaranteed. Russ and Kyler, those weren't fully guaranteed, but maybe he wants like 2/3 of it, right? Over $200 million guaranteed. The Browns really threw everything for a loop. When they guaranteed all the money for Deshaun Watson, it sent all 31 other NFL GMs panicking, going, did they just reset the market and now we got to do fully guaranteed deals? Wasn't the case for Russ or Kyler, but it looks like Lamar is dead set on getting all that guaranteed money, and the Ravens are dead set on not doing that. So do you think Lamar Jackson is worth all that money? It's a big question to ask. And there have been plenty of teams who have been burned from bad contracts. Most recently, the Broncos and Russell Wilson. But I think Lamar is more, I would say the exception because there's not that many outliers. But Lamar, in my opinion, yeah, if you're Atlanta and you have an opportunity to not have to spend the next couple of years searching for a new franchise quarterback after having a great one with Matt Ryan for so long, and you can just hitch your wagon to a new one that's younger than Stetson Bennett, yeah, I would do it. Appreciate everyone who subscribed. You guys are the real ones. If you haven't already, you know the drill. Hit that sub button and get locked in.